सुनो घंटी बजी स्कूल की, चलो स्कूल तुमको पुकार।
A very great morning to all my dear students. I hope you all are good at your home. My name is Rajneesh Tyagi, and as you all know that nowadays we are taking the chapter The Lost Child. And yesterday, day before yesterday, we took so many paragraphs, and today we are going for the next paragraph. Be ready for that. Here we go. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there. And he was surprised. Who? That little child was totally surprised in the fear, because when he turned back and he wanted to see his parents there, the parents was not parents was absent there. He was not, they were not presented there, and he was totally surprised because of that. He was surprised because he did not find out the parents in the fair. So he was totally surprised. Ahead of him, he turned to look on other side, and he was trying to find out them here and there. He was looking everywhere, every corner of the fair, but he was unable to find out their parents. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them, and it was a very surprising thing for that little child. Whenever when he wanted to meet with their parents, all the sites in the fair, he did not find them, and they were absent, and they were not seen anywhere. So he was totally surprised. The little child was totally surprised, and he did not find out the parents in the fair. A full deep cry rose within his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear. And during this scare, because he was scared now, because he came to know that the parents of that little boy has been lost, or we can say that the boy in the fair has been lost. The boy has lost in the fair, and he was crying badly, and he was trying to find out his parents, but was unable to find out them properly. Tears rolled down from his eyes. The tears was coming out from his eyes, and he was crying and crying, hot and fierce. His flushed face was convulsed with his fear. Panic stricken, he ran to one side first, then to other, hither and thither, in all the directions. In all the directions in the fair, he was trying to find out them, but he was always unsuccessful. He was not successful to find out their parents, and it was the very unique and the very mysterious thing for him, and very surprised, knowing not where to go. And he was confused where to go, where not to go, because there was no place where he could have find out his parents. And where is the father, where is the mother? He was totally surprised. He walled his yellow turban, came until, and his clothes became muddy, and his clothes were became also very dirty, very muddy, and he was always crying in the fair, and he was now feeling very bad. And you can also understand, dear students, whenever we go to the fair, and suppose we lost into the fair, and not able to find out our parents properly, so we will definitely feel, we will definitely realize that something is going to be wrong with us, and we are now unable to go our home properly. So it was the condition of that little boy also, and he was very surprised. He was crying, and was unable to find out the parents properly into the fair. Yes, having run to and fro in a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated. His cries suppressed into the sobs. At little distances on the green grass, he could see through his filmy eyes men and women talking. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among these people. And among the people who was trying to find out them, that he could have seen his parents properly there, but always unsuccessful, and always he did not find out their parents among the people. And he was still crying. Nobody was going to pay his attention to that little boy, who seems to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and taking. Everybody was laughing and taking into the fair, and it was a very critical and the very bad condition in the life of that little boy, and because of that, he was always crying into the fair. He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine to which people seemed to be crowding, and every little inch of space here was congregate with the men. But he ran through people's legs, and he was going in through the people's legs, and was not understand how what to do now in that situation, because after all he was a little child, and he was confused. He was not having any sense what to do at this situation, because it was a very critical situation for that boy. He has lost into the fair himself, and the parents of that little boy was not going to shown in front of him. It was a very bad and little critical condition for that little boy, dear students. And seems to be crowding every little inch of space. He was congested with men, but he ran through people's leg. His little sobbing crying, "Mother, Father," near the entrance to the temple. However, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, and near to the temple, there was no space to go out properly. The crowd was in a big amount, and the mass of the people was going to depress him. The crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, heavy men with the flashing murderous eyes and the hefty shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust away between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their ritual movements. He might have been trampled underfoot. He nodded strict and the highest pitches of the voice, "Father, mother," a man in this surging crowd heard his cry, and stopping with great difficulty lifted him up in his arms. And he was very he was not able to find out the parents of that little boy himself into the temple or into the fair. And when he went beside the temple, he was trying to cry out, "Father, mother, father, mother," and was trying to watch them. But it was a very critical condition always to that little boy. He was always unsuccessful. He was not successful to find out them. "How did you get there, child? Whose baby are you?" Then a man near that boy was asking to him, how did you come to this place, and whose baby are you? What is the name of your father? Tell me." A man was asking to that little boy. The man asked her as I strayed clear of his mask. The child wept more bitterly than ever now, and only cried. And now when the man was asking about the father and the mother of that child, he was now bitterly and crying a lot, badly. Now the condition of that child was more worse. "I want my father, I want my father, I want my mother." And he was only saying this word, that "I want my mother, I want my father." Except all these two sentences, he was not going to say anything. The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. "Will you have a ride on the horse?" He gently asked the approaching of the ring. The man asked that to that little child, "Would you like to have uh, a roundabout? Would you like to have a horse riding right now here into the fair?" But this child tore into the thousand shrills and sobs, and only shouted, "I want my father, I want my mother." But the voice of that little boy was only this: "I want my mother, I want my father." He was not having any interest now into the things of the fair. He wanted to meet with his parents now only, and that's why he was crying. That's why he was always calling to his father and mother. And the proposal of that man was also refused by this little boy. And the man headed towards the place where the snake charmer still played on the flute. To the swaying cobra, "Listen to that nice music, child," he pleaded. And that man was trying to change the mood of that little child through many things into the fair which was presented there, like spinach charmer, the balloons, the sweets, everything. But child now, he was not requesting for anything. He was refusing all the things which was presented by that little man. And he was not having any interest into the fair now. He was always crying for his parents only. But the child shut his ears with his fingers, and shouted his double pitches a strain, "I want my mother, I want my father." And the little boy, he closed his ear, and he put the hands on his ears and said, I want my father, I want my mother. वो चिल्लाने लगा जोर जोर से, मुझे मम्मी चाहिए, मुझे पापा चाहिए, I want to meet them. The men took him near the balloons, thinking the bright colors of the balloons would distract the child's attention and the quieten him. Would you like a rainbow colored balloon? He presently asked, and the man was asking to the little boy balloons also. Okay, would you like to have a balloon, little child? वो बच्चे के लिए बोलता है कि balloon से खेलोगे? Would you like to play with that balloon? The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons and just sobbed, I want my father, I want my mother. At that time, that little child closed his eyes and saying that I only want my parents, nothing else. The man, still trying to take the child happy, bore him to the gate where the flower sat. Look, can you smell those nice flowers, child? Would you like a garland to put around your neck? And that little man, that little boy, he was uh, requested by that man that would you like to have the garland in your neck, कि क्या ये माला फूलों की पहनना पसंद करोगे? And the boy was still calling to his parents only that I want my mother, I want my father. The child turned his nose away from the basket and reiterated his sob, I want my mother, I want my father. Now, this time, the child was not going to have any pleasure of the garlands or the flowers, and he was saying only this word, I want my mother, I want my father. Thinking to humor to his disconsolate or charged by a gift of the sweets, the man took him to the counter of the sweet shop. What sweets would you like, child? He asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shops and only sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. And when that man brought that little child near to the sweet shop and asking for the sweets, then this time child also turned his face back and said, I want my father, I want my mother. You can understand, dear students, before this story, the little boy was asking for each and everything which was presented by that man, but that time he was with his parents, that's why he was asking for all those things. But now he lost into the fire, and he lost his parents also into the fire. That's why he was always crying, he was crying and crying and always saying this word, I want my mother, I want my father. And this child has been lost into the fire. So this is the moral lesson to all of you also. If you go to the fair with your parents, always be with them. Do not try to mold and change your mood according to the fair. Okay, try to see all the things which are presented there, but always hold the hands of your father, hold the hands of your mother, hold the hands of your elder, because if you once you will lost into the fair, perhaps you cannot meet with them again. So always follow the instructions of your parents and then do everything in your life, you will be always happy. But this is the question of the day to all of you dear students, that the question is, who is the writer of this story, The Lost Child? You will give me the answers into the comment box in my YouTube channel, and please subscribe this channel, tell to each and everyone, because this chapter will also come to your online test. And this is the question of the day, who is the writer of this story? Have a great day, stay healthy, God bless you, bye bye.